Hey everyone, it's Gone Turbo here, and this is Skyrim Special Edition on Xbox One. I've had some requests recently to make another load order video, and the mods have just kept on coming on Xbox, and I've been trying out some different ones, but a lot of my load order still remains similar to other videos or other load orders that I've had. However, there are some definite solid mods that I continue to keep in my load order because I still haven't found anything better than what I have in certain categories, certain areas. So one of the things that I've always strived to do was to create an amazing looking Skyrim game. And as mods come out and I test them, my goal is still an amazing looking game. So on Xbox One, I don't have an Xbox One X. This is regular Xbox. I still sometimes, I guess, push the envelope when it comes to performance. I don't have any crashes, I'll be honest about that, but I definitely have slowdown in places like, obviously, Riften and Falkreath, and even Morthal I get quite a bit of slowdown. But other than that, things are pretty good. So if you have an Xbox One X, this might be a great load order and everything's going to run smooth. If you still have a regular Xbox One, then this still might be a great load order. So at the top of the load order, we have the unofficial Skyrim patch, which I always have. And I use the graphics pack. It's almost a gigabyte, but I feel it covers so much in the world of Skyrim, and the textures are really high quality. Things look sharper, graphics look sharper, things, the textures just look really good. And lore friendly for the most part. DLC add-on, and then the graphics pack extra, which has to go below the graphics pack. I use MRen's Whiterun, Markarth, and Dawnstar, and these just add things to these towns or cities. It might be a fountain, it might be, gates, it might be benches, lights, structures, plants. For example, in Dawnstar, there's another ship in the harbor, more docks, things like that. So the MRen's Whiterun 1, because there's 1 and 2. 2 is a version that does not include fences. So that's what the difference is. Going further on down, these are more texture mods that I use. I do use Divine Static Mesh. There are different types and versions of static mesh mods out there. These change the textures and meshes of a lot of objects and increases them for the better. But I really like Divine Static Mesh. One thing I like about this mod is that it adds texture and mesh improvements to carpets and some of the noble, upper, and common furniture, which was really nice in Divine Architecture. So Divine Sim is something that includes all of that, which is great. Let's see. Skyland Balanced. I'm a Skyland fan, and I choose the balanced version. It's a little bit of an in-between between the 1K and the 2K, so whatever you might be looking for in terms of file size, I do recommend Skyland. Changes the way landscapes look throughout the world. So you can see ice and snow and mountains, rocks, bridges, roads, mines, caves. A lot of the ground cover is one way to really kind of look at that. Skyland Towns and Villages. This increases textures to a lot of the farmhouses, village and town houses that are scattered throughout Skyrim. So if you are in an inn, for example, a lot of the inns in some of these towns are improved with Skyland. So you'll see an improvement in the textures of the wood and the doors, but also in some of the inns, for example, improvements to the ground, the actual flooring in a lot of the inns and taverns, for example. I use Immersive Sounds and Reverb and Ambiance Overhaul. These add some nice sounds to the game. Now in this section here, in this category, weather and lighting mods, there are so many great weather and lighting mods that are out there. I think everybody has their favorites, and that is fantastic. I would recommend at least trying weather and lighting mods just to see the look that it changes to your game, which is really fantastic. I prefer the True Storms and Vivid Weathers combination with the unofficial Vivid Weathers True Storms patch, which makes them work together. I just like the way Vivid Weathers adds a lot of variety, and the way it makes the game look very natural in many ways. A little bit darker than some of the other lighting mods, but I really don't like, personally, really bright days. On the sunny days, it just kind of washes out and whitewashes out some of the objects. So I find Vivid Weathers to be just a really wonderful mod, tried and true, but it is big on size. So combining these two, you're over 150 megabytes. So I do like rustic weathers. I don't like that it's a shortened light day, or the light the sunlight day is less hours, which, okay, whatever. There's some other really good ones out there. Mythical Ages, Obsidian is a new weather mod that's just come out that looks really nice. So to each their own in that category. These are player homes right here in these sections. I'm a Lord of the Rings fan, Tolkien fan, so Hobbit Hole, Lord of the Rings locations, and Castle Gonduin. I have a 4-video series on that mod there. Excellent mod. I highly recommend giving Castle Gonduin a try. Here are some of the vegetation and vegetation overhauls and texture changes that I use. Project Hippie. I just keep coming back to Project Hippie. I really love the way that it improves the look of Whiterun. I seem to now not be able to play without it, because when I don't play with it, it makes Whiterun look like somebody came through and just took all the trees out. And it's like, where'd all the trees go? So I have that going. Lush Overhaul makes trees and plants more lush by adding, just seems to add a little bit more textures to the trees. So instead of, let's say 5 branches, there's 10, kind of thing. Just beefs them up a little bit. All right, grass mods. I like dense grass. It just improves the vanilla grass. My favorite mod, however, is Verdant, but it's too much on my system in my game, and when I've tested it and kind of gone back and forth to playing with it, I have issues, mostly with fast traveling is where I have issues. So there's some other ones that are similar to Verdant. Vedos Bloom, I think is how you say it. It's another grass mod similar that's really nice. So when I get an Xbox One X, I will be replacing dense grass with Verdant, and hopefully all will be well in the world. Landscape fixes for grass mods. I do use hybrids, HD plants, and herb retexture, and I like the way that it makes some improvements to some of the flowers, wildflowers, thistles, snowberries, tundra cotton. Just adds a nice change to them, and in some of these cases it makes them look a little bit more, just better texture. Anyway, I like it. Detailed terrain and tree level of detail is this mod here that I do use, and it just adds a little bit of a nicer look to the far off distance of the world. Okay, then we get into a lot of miscellaneous kinds of things. All right, so here we are at Better Combat AI. Athletic Combat, these are just mods that improve and adjust combat in the game. Realistic Ragdolls and Force. So when you kill an enemy or something, it will be more Ragdoll-like in a more realistic way. Visible favored gear. So the weapons and items that you have favorited will appear on your character a little more realistic-like. All right, more tavern idols. So in this mod, I've been trying this out. It basically gives more variety to the way NPCs are placing themselves in taverns specifically. So they might be, instead of just sitting in chairs, they might be sitting on the floor, they might be leaning up against a wall, they might be leaning up against a chair with their hands on the back of the chair, warming their hands over the fire, that kind of stuff. Just a little more variety. Immersive Citizens, pretty popular mod here. Changes the AI of NPCs, adds more variety to them in terms of what they do. Populated Dungeons, Caves, and Ruins adds more things to those areas, if it's creatures or bandits, things like that, I guess. All right, Bellyache's Dragon Replacer. I've been trying this one out. This is an older mod. At least it's been on Xbox for quite a while. I ditched Diverse Dragons. I was trying to save on a little bit of file size, and I wanted to try Bellyache's Dragon Replacer. And I haven't experienced this enough to give it my full thought on whether I want to keep it or not. But anyway, a little more on that to come. Splendor Dragon variants. This one I like because it will add lots of different colors in diversity to dragons, boasting 784 different types of dragons based on how models, textures are varied. Rich Merchants of Skyrim adds a lot of gold to each merchant, at least 10,000. So when you're going to cash in your goods, you get a little bit of money for it. You have Expensive Skyrim, which prices things 1.5 times more expensive. So you're probably saying, well, why would you make merchants richer and things and items more expensive? I don't know. I guess just it offers a little bit more of a challenge when you go to, if you want to buy something, you need to make sure that you've earned it. All right, Realistic Conversations, amazing follower tweaks. I do use Far Better Sun, and this will increase the way the sun looks. It will make it more shiny and bright, and add those sunbeams. In some weather mods, or with some weather mods, this can be a little bit overpowering. With other weather mods, this looks really good. Some weather mods will change the sun, so just play around with this if you have different weather mods that you're using as well. Elaborate Textiles changes in NPC clothes, adds retextures to clothes that are definitely more elaborate and I don't know, kind of like ultimate paisley looking and doily looking, I guess, amongst different characters. I really like it. I think it just kind of neat. 3 blood mods, more blood and gore. You're gonna get a lot more blood in your game when you're going and killing stuff. Enhanced blood textures, which makes blood look better. Who would have thought? And if that is still even not good enough, enhanced blood textures darker, which makes blood darker, and I guess a little bit more realistic. I'm not really sure. I've never seen, pools of blood in my life. So I guess this is a little bit too red, and this makes it a little bit darker. But I guess you need both. So anyway, for improvements to banners, I used Design of the Nords. I had this mod that improved the look of gold, Septums of the Eastern Empire, and it seems to not be up anymore. Display enhancements is key, in my opinion. I have a couple videos on this. Haven't done a video in a while, but right now I'm currently using 3 to 4 increases in contrast. I just think that makes the world look a little bit better and balances interiors and exteriors. and I'll talk a little more about that in just a moment. Dynamically disable eye adaptation and bloom, definitely a must in my opinion. You can completely reduce bloom, more so than Vivid Weathers can reduce bloom, and this also will help with when you enter like a shadowed area. Sometimes your whole screen or objects will go black, and this will make sure that that doesn't happen in this mod as well when you activate it. Fire HD and Divine Embers HD. I like Fire HD. It's hard to pull off. I mean, I haven't seen fire that in this game that looks incredibly real. But I don't know. I'm using Fire HD. Thundering Shouts gives your character a little bit of a more thunderous shout. Quieter dungeons and caves, so when you really want to hear your shout echoing through caves, everything else is going to be quiet in quiet dungeon and caves. Just reduces a lot of the, you know, unrealistic cave sounds and makes them pretty quiet. Immersive Fire and Frost breath seems no longer exist, but gives your character, when he shouts fire or frost, a more flame thrower-like effect when you shout. Dragon Remains keeps the remains on your dragon after you kill it, not disappear to bones. Sheogorath's cheat menu. I've used this more for creating videos when I have to, you know, have different camera angles and toggle collision. Sometimes weather changes, but not that much. So mostly just for creating videos with that one, or clips or screenshots. Font Overhaul. I like this font, as you can see right now showing on this video. RUNP, Texture and Body Replacer. This is my absolute favorite body replacer mod. I think it's absolutely beautiful, and I think the characters that this changes, and I will say the females, look really nice. And AFO Believable Hair. I think this is a really great and small mod that changes vanilla hair. So instead of adding hundreds of more megabytes to characters to increase their hair, if you're not, you know, into going that far with your characters, then give AOF Believable Hair a try. Girly Animation. Drugger Horrific Textures. Skeleton Retexture. There's a number of these kinds of skeleton retexture mods. This is the, what is this? Normal version. Okay, so this is the normal version, and I think it makes skeletons look really realistic. The texture is a nice quality, and the look is definitely natural. There's different kinds, like more bloody and red, and some that are darker, all kinds of different ones. All right, then we get into the Old Kingdom Armor Overhaul. Definitely a must. Definitely make space for this mod here. I do use Sleeving Skyrim, which covers the arms of a lot of characters. You need the patch for that if you're doing Old Kingdom. You know, this one's definitely an option if you know, you're looking to save on some space. You don't necessarily need Sleeving Skyrim, but it's kind of neat. It also does change some of the vanilla armor even further with when you use this. So UNP armor, female armor refitted. You need this mod if you are using, well, specifically in my loader, this mod here. If you watch one of my Castle Gonduin videos, you will see why. That's all I'll say about that. Yeah, you're just going to want armor to be fitting good and well and correctly on characters, or else bits and pieces start falling out. So here we have some of my weapons mods that I use. Expanded Skyrim, additional lore weapons, heavy armor, new weapons, and this is the previous Lord of the Rings weapons mod that no longer is up. And if I delete this, I'm worried that it's going to be gone forever. But this is probably my favorite. This is my favorite weapon mod here. But anyway, these add some really good variety to the game. I have a video on this, and I did get some feedback from folks, mod authors, and the like, that you know, I don't I don't understand mods at a real technical level. So, you know, some of the feedback is that some of these types of weapons with these mods might overwrite each other. So all I can say is that I download these three, and it gives me a shitload of weapons. So if you rearrange them, perhaps one weapon in this mod might overwrite a weapon in a different mod, and you get that one instead of another one. I think that's kind of the idea. But anyway, so those are some good weapons mods. Very lore friendly. Old Kingdom Weapon Overhaul. So this is another Old Kingdom mod that totally changes the textures and in some cases the models of weapons. They look absolutely beautiful. It goes along great with Old Kingdom armors, so I would recommend both. And using your file size, your free space to have these in your load order. Wearable lanterns. This mod I recommend. It's a great mod to have. You do have to craft a lantern and you know, continue to have fuel available, but it's great in a dark spot. So, and torches are kind of hard to come by, so this works out really well. More immersive open face guard helmet, so you can see guard faces and it makes it a little more realistic. All right. I do use enhanced lights and effects, and I really, really like it to the point where I'm not going to get rid of it. I just think it adds a wonderful look to interiors. On its own, it looks great. If you would like interiors to be a little bit darker, you would use ELFX Enhancer. And if you would like it even darker than that, almost pitch black in areas where there's no light source, or in areas where there wouldn't be any hospitable human, you would get a darkness as well. So I do use the enhancer, which is kind of a middle ground level of darkness. And enhanced lights and effects exterior creates some more dynamic and realistic lighting to the exterior of Skyrim. So in regards to display enhancements, which is a mod that I mentioned a few minutes ago, if you are changing what the exterior of your world looks like with display enhancements, make sure you're going inside to see what effect it has. Because I was messing with display enhancements, making the outside world look great. I'd go inside and it was way too not good. So I have found that with vivid weathers and enhanced lights and effects, that increase of contrast 3 or 4 times with vivid weathers is a good balance. But that's just me. I have Christmas lanterns in my load order, and just because it's getting to be that time of year, and I wanted to see what this actually did. It adds some colorful lamps to towns, and in some cases these lamps are adorned on a pine tree. So it's I guess we might call it a lore friendly holiday celebration with these kinds of lanterns. So I don't know, check it out. Alternate start. Some more immersive mods that I have here. Creatures in realistic food, or food realistic wildlife behavior. Definitely download this mod if you're sick of wolves attacking you every time. In real life, wolves aren't just going to attack you on sight. In fact, they don't really attack people at all. Faster horses. Now, I do use a horse in this game. This allows horses faster, but also your walking, running, sprinting, and swimming speed faster. Now, what sometimes happens is the horse is faster than the grass in the game can render. So I'll be galloping into an area and the grass isn't rendering, and you kind of have to wait for it to start kind of popping up. So I only have had one time that it crashed because of that, but that was it. Other than that, I don't really have a problem. But I do stop on the horse when I am having a grass rendering problem. I like food and improvement. I actually use this mod and will hunt, cook, and use certain types of meat to improve. Restore health when I'm in a bind instead of restore health potions. So anyway, realistic water too. I highly recommend this towards the bottom of your load order to reduce any seams in the water. Just an absolutely amazing mod here. Now this mod has come out recently, Realistic Waters 2 Level of Detail Fix, and I definitely see a difference with this mod. So without it, you will see in that level of detail distance where things like trees and objects start to change. Not so much a seam in the water, but a bit of a difference in the way the water looks. And as you travel closer to that seam, it will disappear, but it will kind of continue in the water. It's kind of hard to explain, but this actually kind of seems to even out that effect. So it just makes the water look even from the near and far distances. A few other minor, small mods that I like. Dynamic Dungeon Loot adds a little bit more unique drops to the kind of that final treasure deep in the dungeon when you kind of clear everything. Soldier, no more lazy Jarls, so they sit up and not look like they're lazy. Wild Hunt. This adds some creatures to the game that are unique that you might find. This is original vanilla venison texture. I don't like the way the graphics pack changes venison. So other people must agree because they have this one single mod for the venison. So, all right. Tweaked arrows and bolts, faster bows. I'll get down towards the bottom here. This mod is something you should definitely pick up. This is a bounty perks. So whenever you get a one of those bounty quests where you have to go kill a bandit that's taken over the fort over here, and then you go back to the Jarl and you collect money. When you do that, you'll get a perk point, so you can go into your skills and cash that in. It's just kind of a neat way to further enjoy those hunts. Level of detail blur. This is a ring you get that can just slightly blur the exterior or the background of your game. No Creation Club news. Silent dogs of Skyrim because I don't like barking dogs. Dead NPC cleaner. No more no more stupid dog comments. More werewolves. The color patch remover and restore vanilla settings. The color patch remover I found is needed for Castle Gonduin for sure. So anyway, this is my load order. I hope that this is something that you check out, or maybe learn a little bit more about these mods. And I really appreciate the support. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you again soon.